we should be cool with someone else
taking on
the mantle of
Yeah.
Wolverine. Like, that's life. Like, we should be okay with the
passing the torch.
Yeah, passing the torch. That's good. Yeah, exactly. We should be okay with actors, actresses passing the torch on to someone else.
Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are discussing the ups and downs, the good or bad, the morality of reanimating passed away actors or actresses in film.
They've been doing this for a long time. There was a beer commercial, this would have been about 20 years ago, where they redid some face stuff with John Wayne.
I want to know whose beer this is right now.
It's my beer, Sergeant.
You put this beer here?
I certainly did, and I checked on it.
I wasn't gonna take it, sir.
Oh, bet.
No, really, look, it's still cold.
You're right. Now, what'd you do with my pretzels?
Well, don't just stand there. Find the General's pretzels.
I remember that distinctly because I think it was a Super Bowl commercial. And
didn't they do with Marilyn Monroe too?
They have. I don't remember the context.
Okay.
And one of the most famous ones is Gladiator. Oliver Reed died in the middle of making Gladiator, and they had to rewrite and do some camera trickery and a little bit of CGI to finish off his character, to give his character a fitting end.
Yeah. And we've seen this a lot. I mean, Paul Walker
in the Fast and Furious franchise.
I mean, the list is pretty extensive. Carrie Fisher, right?
Carrie Fisher had a few scenes that they put into the last Star Wars movie. So this isn't uncommon that it has happened, but it was probably the most egregious was in Alien Romulus. So there's a character in Alien Romulus that is from the first Alien movie. The actor is Ian Holm. He died, and they reanimated his character that plays a pretty significant role in this. Now, the CGI isn't quite there. You could kind of tell, but it wasn't distracting enough to put you off. Mm-hmm. But there is like this morality of it. So like, because Ian Holm's widow signed off on this. It's well known.
Yeah.
And they brought Peter Cushing back for Rogue One. And the CGI isn't that great in that one because it is kind of distracting. I guess, where do we draw the line? I mean, because it wasn't that offensive with Gladiator and Oliver Reed, but it comes off kind of tasteless when it's, I don't know.
When it's rather than finishing a work.
Yes, rather than finishing a work.
They're integrating them into a new work.
Yeah, that's probably where the line should be drawn.
Possibly. Like, because what will happen is, I mean, we grew up in an era. It wasn't too uncommon to have a different actor playing the same character. That would happen.
James Bond has been doing it for years.
Right. Actors and actresses will keep passing away. Like,
yeah,
this will keep happening. But do we get to a point, if we just keep kind of doing this, rather than bringing new actors in to
reprise the role of the character? And what's crazy about it is that they've made these characters so iconic. So the actor most associated with Wolverine is going to always be Hugh Jackman, which is why the joke in Deadpool was they're going to make him do this till he's 90. It's like,
yeah,
he's supposed to be a character that doesn't age, and Hugh Jackman is aging.
Well,
it goes for like Iron Man. You're never gonna, like, are we going to accept another actor playing Iron Man? Like, I don't.
My thing is, we probably should. So we should be cool with, in 20 years when they redo some Wolverine stories, we should be cool with someone else taking on the mantle of Wolverine. Like, that's life. Like, we should be okay with the
passing the torch.
Yeah, passing the torch. That's good. Yeah, exactly. We should be okay with actors, actresses passing the torch on to someone else.
Do you think
if we keep this going, we'll rather than passing the torch, CGI will just redo things with the same look likeness, I guess you could say. Anyway, ask your question.
I was going to say, do you think that this might be like a byproduct of our society's obsession with living forever and
nostalgia? Or
nostalgia too, but mostly living forever, and this drive to be youthful forever. It's like, yeah, Hugh Jackman looks great for his age, but that guy's that guy's pushing 60. Okay. Yeah. So he cannot play a character that doesn't age for the rest of his life. It's like impossible. Mm-hmm. So like, is this because bringing back In Home just kind of like, and I knew not everybody knows that actor is dead. I mean, not everybody knows that that's, so it probably didn't put a lot of people off, but for me, for somebody who's been watching alien movies since I've been able to, I knew right away. I was like, oh yeah, they CGI'd this character. Like you said, I think that the line should really be drawn at, can we finish the work? As opposed to, oh, this is a whole new thing. Let's bring him back to cash in on his likeness or his life.
It's like a cashing in on someone's likeness.
Yes, and the widow didn't have a problem. The widow didn't have a problem with it, but the widow probably needed the money. I don't know her situation. I don't know what
for sure.
But Peter Cushing, I don't even think I think they had to get the rights from his estate. So
that leads into a whole nother legal part to this.
Yeah.
Right. Because and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing, because I'm not sure that studios have to reach out to widows, to estates, to children do they have to?
As far as I know, they have to. It's like you're taking a likeness of a person who's passed on. You have to do something. So, but I've heard, and I don't know which actors these are, but I've heard that there's actors who are actually signing away their likenesses, so that in the future, when they die,
oh shoot.
And like, how murky can that get? Because then, you sell it away for a couple of $1 million, and then what happens is, like, when you're still alive and they start just making movies without you.
It's dude, like, that leads into some real moral conundrums.
But this kind of happens with toys. So, I can't remember the details, but famously, like Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill signed a contract that basically gave them almost nothing for their toy likeness. And the toys like sold out. And
see, it'll be like that. It could be like that, where it's
where they're like, it's not a big deal. I'll just sign this contract. I'll get paid like $100,000 for it or whatever, and then it blows up later. That could happen.
Yeah.
It's not like they're hurting for money anyway. It's like most of these, actors were getting paid really well during their lifetime,
I'm more thinking on like a moral basis of like, you're signing off on this film that you're doing. You're signing off on the script. You're signing off. This is your work. Right. But also, to do this, you needed to sign this contract, which allows them to use your likeness for in perpetuity and forever. Right. Well, now you're an old man, old woman, right? And you've got kids and grandkids, and now all of a sudden they're making new stories and probably ones that you would not sign off on, possibly. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's not up to you because you signed off your likeness. Right now you're going to the movie theater with your kids, grandkids, whatever, and you're like, this is bullshit. I would never have signed off on this. Like, I would never have wanted this to be something I was involved in.
Well, yes, yeah. So say that like it goes against your moral code. Yeah,
or they ruin the character. You could be like, hey, I put my blood, sweat, and tears, and that's like my legacy. I built that character.
Yeah,
and then watch that character literally before your eyes kind of get played by these creators. You know, and it's like, I didn't have anything to do with this. I mean, you know what I mean? It just,
well,
you got no power over that.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, because Gladiator 2 just recently came out this past summer, and it has tons of shots of Russell Crowe in it. Does Russell Crowe get residuals for that? I wonder if he gets residuals. I don't think so.
Yeah. Because I mean, in fact, Russell Crowe seemed a little
perturbed that he wasn't involved in it in some way.
Right? Like he's like, as much as I get asked about that film, they should be paying me.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
because he's like, my character's obviously dead,
dude. Obviously he had nothing to do.
But he is in it. They use like a ton of footage of him
for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's extremely murky. You know, and like deep fakes is becoming a weird thing too, because like
this only gets worse.
Yeah,
like we're at the beginning stages of this.
Yeah,
this is gonna become. I mean, it's gonna get to the. I don't even know. It's gonna get to the point. I mean, they could do it to us. Like the AI system could, and I mean, you've seen some of them with like Joe Rogan.
Where they don't even use their permission. It's like I'm sure Joe Rogan's got lawyers on it on a lot of the time.
But possibly. I mean, maybe he doesn't.
Well, there was a whole 5 years ago. There was like he had an interview with Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
and it's not real. It's fake.
It's fake.
It was some AI person put together a video of Steve Jobs talking, and you can kind of tell it's fake when you watch it because like his mouth doesn't move right or whatever.
Quite right, but we're at the beginning stages, dude. It's going to happen where we will. And that's going to be a weird world, right? When that happens, when you are online and you can't tell if it's real or if it's fake, that's going to be basically the only way you will be able to tell if it's real or fake is if it was published directly from them.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that's going to be the only way. So all the rehashing and stuff like that of Joe Rogan's stuff, the only thing we'll watch is the channel straight from Joe Rogan.
Yeah. To make
Joe
sure.
Rogan experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like and this happens to Tom Cruise. There's tons of videos of Tom Cruise.
Like, I'm running for president. And he's running. It's like
there's something dirty about it.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson had a theory that what will happen is there will be a time in the future where in-person meetings will skyrocket in value because we won't be able to believe what we see on the internet.
Yeah.
Because AI will
live stuff. It'll all be live. You won't be able to have edits and stuff like that.
Like a concert, like we went and saw him in the flesh. Like at a venue where we saw him speak, right? Like we could see within our lifetime, we could see a time where that's the only way we really know
what's true.
That's what's true. And I mean, shoot, even that might get kind of dicey. ABBA is basically not touring, but they have a venue in London.
Yeah.
That is like a CGI and like, I think animatronics is involved as well.
Yeah,
but like
something, and they've done it with Tupac and Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's still making money off of these people who've been dead for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It is a bizarre, it's it's been happening for a while. It's been happening for a while. And Gladiator's, 25-year-old movie now. So I think I like your take with, I like saying, okay, as long as it's to finish a work, like with Paul Walker. Paul Walker tragically died before the end of one of the Fast and Furious movies, and they just kind of CGI'd and used his twin brother and did all sorts of trickery to try to wrap up his character's story, which is, I think, is better than just bringing somebody back like in Home for Alien Romulus and just completely putting them into a new story. So I think that's probably where I would draw the moral line. Like, it's okay to finish a work. It's not okay to bring more work with this dead character. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously it doesn't end. Like,
this
doesn't end. I don't think
end.
this ends. We will continue to see problems with
stuff like this. Yeah.
I think we'll probably see more lawsuits as time goes on. Probably more and more and more. Like, we'll start seeing
and let's not forget that there's stuff out of copyright. Speaking of, like, let's talk a little bit about Leonardo da Vinci. He did the Mona Lisa, right? So it's the most famous painting of all time. And if you have technology, you can bring the woman in the Mona Lisa painting to life and they've done
seen some of those where they take old photos and they like have them,
and they move
around and talk and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, geez,
wow,
that actually looks pretty good. Like, I mean, it's gotten better and better. I mean, I remember,
but I think that's where that's where it's going to go. It's going to go to out of copyright stuff. So the old Mickey Mouse, the one from the 1930s or 1920s, it would have been 1920s. He's out of copyright. So he can so anybody could take that Mickey Mouse and CGI him to do anything. So
I'm sure Disney would find a way to jump on that. And
they probably can, but they can't. It's 100. So they can't use any newer versions of Mickey Mouse, but that old one, the Steamboat Willie one, that version is out of copyright.
So they can't do anything about it.
They can't do anything about it. Unless they get some like real interesting legal finagling going on. But
interesting.
So copyright is 100 years old. Once you've reached 100 years old, you no longer own the copyright anymore. It's free.
You can't renew it or anything like that.
You're supposed to renew it. Like, I don't know the details,
20 years,
every 20 years or something, like up until the 100-year mark. So like Beethoven pictures, like, we're going to see people taking out of copyright material like they've done forever, but only they're going to use technology, CGI technology, AI technology to bring these, people to life.
Interesting. See, and we might see that start to get called into question as well, because you'll have these estates.
Yeah, you're right. Because it's like Steve McQueen's been dead for a long time, right?
Yeah.
He's a human actor. In 100 years from his death, does he no longer have copyright and they can just take all of his footage and turn him into a character? Like the Bullet character comes back for, a massive AI CGI, gore fest.
The estate has nothing to say.
I don't know how that would work.
Rights.
They may not have any rights to that. Like his children. That'd be bizarre to find out.
It could be. This could be
because
we're walking into a world of new problems.
Well, yeah, but he's a human character, right? He's a human who played characters.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can do that. Where they could do it, they can do that with Mickey Mouse.
I don't know.
Superman. Superman's going to be out of copyright here in 10 years. we don't have that much time before all these characters start becoming public domain.
Yeah.
Batman's going to be public domain. Superman's going to be public domain. All these characters are going to be public domain in like 20, 25 years. It'll be interesting to see
How
it's weird to think that maybe an actor won't have his estate won't have the rights to him in 100 years or 50 years, 50 or 40, 80 years, whatever.
I don't know. They might, I mean, they could have a lawsuit that sets precedents, we'll move from there, but
yeah,
it does call into, this is going to be a conversation.
Ongoing conversation.
Ongoing. Yep.
Okay. Before we go, I'd like to take the conversation in this direction. The need, the nostalgia to bring back old characters might be the source of this problem, because like, why can't we get to a point where we're creating new characters that people want, that admire enough to bring back? So if you think about this, if we just got done talking about Mickey Mouse, Superman, and Batman, and we don't have newer characters, why is nobody creating newer characters that are that iconic? Have we
that beloved,
that the iconography of Batman and Superman is immense. It's beyond our borders. It's beyond most borders. I mean, even people in like the Sudan know who Superman is. It's like, why aren't there new characters being created like this? Was the 1930s the peak? Was the 1940s the peak for
the 80s
characters?
I mean, like all the nostalgia of the 80s films just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You're right. This could start to become even more of a problem for the fact that we aren't letting the old die out and the new come in.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll get to a point where all we do is we extend the life of the old forever.
Yeah, forever. With
nothing
AI.
new happens. Right?
Yeah.
That's a problem, guys. We want the new to have a chance to come in as the old exits out.
But it's weird. As humans, we just are just a glutton for nostalgia. We all want the nostalgia, but this nostalgia isn't. None of the nostalgia is good. It's kind of bad, in fact. Like Gladiator 2 came out this year. It's a terrible, terrible movie. It's like, why didn't they just make a new movie about a gladiator? Like, why? The need, like you said, I think the need has gotten so overwhelming that's why we keep bringing back characters that are long past, like the actors who played them are long past dead. And so it's like, why aren't we creating something new?
It'll also just make it harder for new actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Really. It really will.
If
because
you have
now
you're
not just competing with your peers. Now you're competing with versions of the whole
legacy of film.
Yeah. Like, how would you ever
compete with that? That's
a
good point.
There can't be, there needs to be a new Marilyn Monroe, but she needs to be her own person. We don't need to recreate Marilyn Monroe and continue Marilyn Monroe in everything for eons of time, right?
Yeah.
We need to allow for that old to take its place amongst the legacy and allow for the chance of new people to be able to take over.
New characters, new like if the companies behind these characters weren't always pumping out, like, you can find anything with a Batman signal on it. You can find a toilet seat with a Batman signal on it. You can find anything with a Batman signal on it. And it's like, is he iconic because the company that licenses him has pumped out so much about him that there's no way to get around it, and that new character wouldn't have a chance because there's not a toilet seat made of his logo or whatever. Like what would it take to bring about a new character? Like the only one that I can think of that is in recent, but it was made in the 80s, late 80s, was like Deadpool or Spawn. I would say they're not as iconic as Superman and Batman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, although they're kind of like building up on them, you know, but do they have the chance to make a new character as iconic when there's no, like, there doesn't seem like there's room for something new?
Yeah. And that's the question. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking about this in 10 years.
Yeah.
And probably again in another 10 years. And then probably again. And it'll probably even be worse than the time before.
Worse. We'll have like a Ghostbuster 18 or whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on that note, check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just look for The Sword in the Skull.
If you like this discussion, you are the subscriber we're looking for.
And in the meantime, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more.
If you enjoyed our conversation, check out another random video here.